friends. Welcome to Story Behind Podcast. This is the show for people who love hearing a good story and who believe the world could use more positivity. We're the team behind GodUpdates and God2, and we hope these weekly short stories will brighten your day.
Dolly Parton opens up about how her fashion style got her whipped by her grandfather. Written by Adam Staten, read by Adam Staten. Dolly Parton stated in her younger years, her style caused problems, resulting in her being whipped for how she dressed. Parents and even grandparents are empowered by God with authority over children and grandchildren. That discipline is intended to instruct and inform a child about the difference between right and wrong. No one enjoys discipline in hearing they are wrong, but it is necessary at certain junctures in life. Sometimes that correction and redirection can be harsh, unfair, and unwarranted. In an interview, Dolly Parton recalled how she was disciplined as a youngster for how she dressed. She mentioned that her grandfather, a preacher, would even use physical force to try and correct her style choices. "I'm very sensitive. I didn't like being disciplined. It hurt my feelings so bad to be scolded or whipped or whatever," Dolly said. However, her grandfather's attempt to improve Dolly's fashion choices did not work. Instead, she admits she was willing to pay for it, to wear what she wanted. But sometimes there's just that part of you that's willing, if you want something bad enough, to go for it, the 77-year-old stated. As to who Dolly looked to for inspiration for her clothing and makeup growing up, she states that it was, in fact, an individual people referred to as the town tramp. Despite that less than pleasant moniker, Dolly loved the way the woman dressed. She even vowed, "That's what I'm going to be when I grow up." Dolly gave specific details about how the woman dressed, even down to her fingernails and lipstick. She had bright red lipstick, long red fingernails, Dolly said. She had high-heeled shoes, little floating plastic goldfish in the heels of them, short skirts, low-cut tops, and I just thought she was beautiful. Sure, everyone should consider how they dress and how they present themselves to the world. But when it comes down to it, what does someone's style choices really matter? Not much at all. People should be much more concerned about the state of someone's heart, for it's the heart that God looks at, cares about, and judges. But the Lord said to Samuel, "Do not take note of his face or how tall he is, because I will not have him. For the Lord's view is not man's. Man takes note of the outer form, but the Lord sees the heart." 1 Samuel 16:7.
In a recent survey, parents reported that 52% of homeschooled children need learning accommodations. These parents need practical advice, encouragement, and hope to fuel their homeschooling efforts. The Empowering Homeschool Conversations podcast is where parents gain wisdom on how to teach unique learners successfully at home, like Laura, who recently told us, "I needed this episode. I don't need a fancy curriculum or need to be a special ed teacher to teach my son. You have given me hope." To listen now, go to Life Audio or search Empowering Homeschool Conversations on your favorite podcast app.
The Historical Jesus Podcast is the sweeping saga of the life and times of Galilean Jesus of Nazareth, as well as the faith, religion, and church founded to honor and disseminate his acts and teachings. Join me, Mark Vinette, on this fascinating journey through time, exploring the many great works of Christian theology, literature, architecture, music, and art inspired by the words and deeds of Jesus Christ.
One kid's response to coming home after a long day of school is so hilariously relatable. Written by Adam Staten, read by Adam Staten. One kid made it hilariously and abundantly clear, repeatedly stating that he had come home after a long day and that he was not in the mood for razzing or teasing of any kind. The Bible and Jesus Christ never promised that life would be an easy, pleasant experience. In fact, life is often the exact opposite. Tasks and entire days can be stressful and overwhelming. Some days can get so bad that it impacts our mood, putting us in a sour frame of mind. When it gets to that point, unfortunately, we often take it out on others, lashing out verbally. Jude, a 4-year-old preschooler, knows all about bad days, as a video posted on TikTok hilariously shows. He was not in the mood to be bothered, and he let his parents know loud and clear how he felt. The Laugh Out Loud clip begins with the child responding to a question or request by stating his feelings and informing his mother and father about his day. "Do you hear me?" Jude asks. "I'm cranky. I'm tired. I worked hard at school, okay?" His father, according to Upworthy, responds by then asking his son whether this means he should leave him alone and refrain from messing with him tonight. "So what, you don't want me to mess with you tonight?" Jude's father asks. Jude responds by reiterating how awful of a day he had experienced, which is the reason for his less than pleasant mood. "No, I'm cranky. I'm tired," Jude says as he begins to turn and walk away from the camera. But then, seconds later, Jude seems to have changed his mind slightly. His father once again asks him a question. "You're not going to wrestle here a little bit?" his dad asks. "Well, maybe," Jude responds. Later in the video, a female, Jude's mother, mentions to the agitated young man that she cannot understand why he's in such a foul mood. "I worked hard at school," Jude tells his mom. His mother states that she worked hard at work, but I'm not as cranky as you. Sometimes it's hard to be a preschooler, and not everyone seems to understand that fact. A glad heart makes a healthy body, but a crushed spirit makes the bones dry. Proverbs 17:22.
Thank you so much for listening to Story Behind Podcast. We're really glad you joined us for this week's story. To see photos and videos that may have been referenced in this episode, check out the links in the show notes. And if you enjoyed what you heard today, subscribe to our podcast, and please tell a friend about us. We'd also love it if you'd rate us and leave us a review. It really does help more people find us. Story Behind is a Salem Web Network production.
Do you live, work, or play in downtown Baltimore? The Charm City Circulator travels through some of Baltimore's most charming neighborhoods, and best of all, it's free. Our transit service is convenient, reliable, and eco-friendly. Feel free to circulate. Visit charmcitycirc.com.